South Africa has progressed quite well in terms of climate change and how we are trying to drive towards a low carbon and climate resilient economy. It's a tall order, but since the COP17 in Durban back in 2011, the South African government committed to low carbon and climate resilient economy and greener economy going forward. So we have seen quite a lot of developments since then. But as a Development Bank of Southern Africa, we really have also updated our policy, climate change policy framework that talks into how we are going to migrate towards a greener portfolio as a DFI and a low carbon and climate resilient economy. The climate-friendly future that we anticipate and we see as a DBSA is that where South Africa is able to adapt and mitigate climate change, where greener economy and sustainable project development becomes the norm. We need, together with our government and our private sector and public sector and NGO partners, start looking at how do we mitigate the impact of climate much more aggressively to make sure that South Africa is able actually to sustain itself going forward. We are also anticipating a situation in the not so distant future where the coal exports from South Africa to the rest of the world are going to dwindle as this ambition and traction of driving towards low carbon and greener economies start taking shape. But as a society, we need to start saying what will be the impact and how do we create a just transition that will be able to cushion and minimize the negative impact to those vulnerable communities. How do we help developing countries and how do we catalyze and crowd in the private sector by making sure that we are able to identify and pilot various climate financing instruments as well as climate financing products that will be able to promote this low carbon and climate resilience economy going forward. We really need to start saying, how do we find a solution for the future that we want? How do we find a solution for an inclusive economy? How do we find a solution for a low carbon, greener and climate resilient economy? We are also accredited by the Global Environmental Facility as its national project agency in South Africa, which is about making sure that we begin to start promoting climate adaptation and climate mitigation programs within the country. We are also a member of the Global Innovation Lab for Climate Change, which is aimed at promoting and first identifying and piloting climate change financing instruments as well as products that will be able to catalyze the private sector investment into climate change and promoting low carbon and greener economy. As the Development Bank of Southern Africa, we are also managing the Green Fund on behalf of the Department of Environmental Affairs in South Africa, which has now actually about 55 projects in its portfolio. The DBSA is challenging all our stakeholders to contribute towards climate change and to make sure that we are able to together bend the arc of history towards sustainable development, shared prosperity, and climate resilient economy of the future.